Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we translate your company's deepest secrets into plain English. Today we're cracking open PHOTRONICS Incorporated's 2025 annual report. And let me tell you, they've got some interesting stories hidden within these numbers, especially when it comes to their sales and how they manage their money, so buckle up. Before we dive in, if you love uncovering the real story behind corporate filings, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And hey, for more real-time discussions and to connect with other finance enthusiasts, join our Discord community. The link is in the description below. Alright, let's get straight into it. PHOTRONICS Incorporated is a big player in making something called photomasks. Think of them as super precise stencils for making computer chips and those fancy screens on your phones and TVs. They've got a global footprint with facilities all over the world, including China, Taiwan, South Korea, the US and Europe. This company operates in a single main business, a manufacturer of photomasks. They've got different types of photomasks, some for high-end computer chips and displays, and others for more mainstream products. The demand for these is tied to how many new designs are coming out, which can make their business a bit of a roller coaster. Now, let's talk about the money part. Looking at their results for the fiscal year 2025, PHOTRONICS brought in $849.3 million in revenue. That is a slight dip compared to 2024, when they made $866.9 million. So overall revenue is down a bit. Let's see where that revenue comes from. IC photomasks, the ones for computer chips, brought in $615.1 million in 2025. That is down from $638.1 million in 2024. This drop is mostly because of fewer sales of their mainstream IC products. On the flip side, their high-end IC photomask sales actually went up, which is a good sign that they are getting more business for their advanced tech. Now for the FPDs, those are the flat panel displays. That part of the business brought in $234.2 million in 2025, an increase from $228.8 million in 2024. This growth is thanks to an increase in their mainstream FPD products, especially the G8 products. This shows they are still seeing demand for more standard display tech. When we look at percentages, the IC revenue dropped by about 3.6%, mainly due to those mainstream products. But the FPD revenue saw a slight increase of about 2.4%. Let's dig into their profitability. Their gross margin for 2025 was 35.3%. This is a bit lower than the 36.4% they had in 2024. This decrease is primarily because of higher material costs and the product mix wasn't as favorable as in the previous year. Still, a 35% gross margin is not too shabby. It means for every dollar of sales. They keep about 35 cents after covering the direct costs of making their products. Looking at expenses, their selling general and administrative expenses, which include things like marketing and staff salaries, were $75.6 million in 2025. That is a decrease from $77.8 million in 2024. This is a good sign that they're managing those costs more effectively. Research and development expenses were $15.8 million for 2025. They are spending money to stay ahead of the curve, focusing on high-end IC and FPD applications. This is crucial in a tech-driven industry. Now let's talk about cash. This is where things get really interesting. For the year ended the 31st of October 2025, PHOTRONICS generated $247.8 million in cash from its operations. That is a solid amount though, slightly less than the $261.4 million they generated in 2024. However, when we look at investing activities, they used a whopping $238.9 million in 2025. That is a huge jump from $156.5 million in 2024. A big chunk of this was for buying property, plant, and equipment, meaning they are investing heavily in their facilities and machinery. This often signals confidence in future growth. But here is the kicker: they used $115.3 million in financing activities in 2025. This is way up from just $7.7 million in 2024. The main reason for this surge is a significant increase in repurchasing their own stock. A total of $97.4 million was spent on this. This means they believe their stock is undervalued and are buying it back to boost shareholder value. Let's glance at their balance sheet. As of the 31st of October 2025, PHOTRONICS had cash and cash equivalents of $492.3 million. That is a healthy amount though, down from $598.5 million in 2024. They also have almost $100 million in short-term investments. Their property, plant, and equipment net is around $854 million. showing a significant increase from 745.3 million in 2024, which aligns with their increased investing activities. They also have a significant joint venture in China, PHOTRONICS DNP Mars Corporation. They recorded $19.5 million in net income from this venture in 2025. This partnership is a key part of their strategy in China. Now, no company is without its risks. PHOTRONICS points out several. They're heavily reliant on the microelectronics industry, which as a whole is pretty volatile. They also depend on a limited number of suppliers for their equipment and raw materials, which can cause problems if those suppliers falter. Plus, a big chunk of their revenue comes from just a few large customers. Losing even one of them could hurt them badly. Geopolitical issues, especially involving China, are also a significant concern. Their auditors, Deloitte and Touch LLP, gave them a clean bill of health for their financial statements for 2025. They also confirmed that PHOTRONICS has effective internal controls over financial reporting. So, what is my take on this filing? PHOTRONICS Incorporated is a company that is investing heavily in its future. Their push into high-end products and increased capital expenditures show a clear strategy to stay competitive. The dip in revenue is concerning, but the increased sales in high-end ICs and the growth in mainstream FPDs suggest a mixed but stabilized market. The significant stock buybacks show management's confidence in the company's value. However, the heavy reliance on a few major customers and the inherent volatility of the microelectronics industry remain key risks. Their global operations and joint ventures, especially in China, also present ongoing challenges and opportunities. They are definitely in a competitive race, and their ability to innovate and manage costs will be crucial for continued success. Alright, that is our breakdown of PHOTRONICS Incorporated's latest annual report. What are your thoughts on their financial health and future prospects? Are those investments in their infrastructure a smart move or a risky bet? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this analysis valuable, smashing that like button really helps us out, and make sure you subscribe for more deep dives into the financial world. And don't forget to check out our Discord community in the description for more discussions. Thanks for watching. Corporate Decoder out.